In this video, I'm going to be going over how to set up your Retriever, which is your call tracking software. And if you follow this step by step, you will not be confused on pretty much everything. How to send RTBs to publishers, how to send DIDs to publishers, and ultimately just the full process of using your call tracking software, because this is where most people mess up and this is where most people stop. So if you can get this part down, you will be successful. Now, follow along and let's get your call tracking software set up. So first thing to note, Retriever is completely free and it essentially it's pay as you go. So there's no monthly usage like some other companies. You just pay as you go. If I'm not mistaken, it's 4 cents on the minute. And yeah, you just use it and basically it's usage costs. So what that looks like is if you send in calls to buyers, then you're just paying 4 cents on the minute, or it could be more or less, but that's typically where it's at. So first thing that you're going to want to do is your Retriever is going to look like this on the left side. It's going to say all this stuff. Go ahead and go to your shopping cart at the top right and enable performance marketing and then enable RTB, real-time bidding. And then it'll change to look like this. So that way you can follow along with me. Now, in your overview, you'll have something that looks like revenue today, calls today, all this stuff. This is all the stuff from today. Okay. Next thing you have is in here is your campaign section, basically the campaigns that are running. So, for example, you see pest control. Then I can launch another campaign that's HVAC, or I launch another campaign that's roofing, launch another campaign that's final expense, auto insurance. And I personally even separate it by buffer time. So like, let's say I wanted to launch another pest control offer at 10 seconds. Well, I'm going to separate it through campaigns. Okay. But let me show you how to set up a campaign. Let's say, hypothetically speaking, you're diving into auto insurance. So let's set up a new campaign and we're going to type in auto insurance, and you're going to go after auto insurance is anywhere from 90 seconds to 180, but depending on what buffer time you go, it's totally cool. Let's say you're going after 120 seconds. Okay. You leave this part blank here because this is visible to buyer collaborators. Don't use sensitive information like the name of your publisher. You don't want to release that. This gets auto-generated, so you don't have to worry about it. The next thing is your route settings. So you have to have this, and it can be dummy data. So you just put like +1. This is your call buyers, but +1. I already have this, but you just put like 469, boom, boom, boom. All right, call endpoint, add selected, and then you just have to have that. The next couple things here to note is this is your prompts. Basically, it's an IVR, so you're probably used to something along the lines like, let's say you call into a company. Let's say you call into a company and they're like, hey, this is Farmers Insurance. Please state your name or something like that. Like that's what the prompt's for. Do not do this. If you're getting into pay-per-call, don't worry about the IVR stuff at all. Okay. Just leave it how it is. The conversion criteria. This is basically a default conversion criteria. It's your fallback if you don't set anything up in the publisher level in terms of tags like 90-second or like the payouts. So this is your conversion criteria, like payouts or revenue, depending. But the way that I do it, and don't get too confused here, is I'll either set a default here as like, my lowest bid is 40 on a 120-second buffer for auto. I'll set it default. Like that's my fallback. But in the publisher level that's where I'll add the tags, the actual what I'm bidding for that publisher. And so we'll leave it as it is. Like for now, you can just leave everything as the default of how it was. Just leave it how it was. Now you're going to create a campaign. We created the campaign. Okay. So now what we need to do is we need to plug in a publisher. But let me break down all this stuff here. So if you're running RTB, you don't need a DID, which a DID is a cell phone number to route calls to. Most of the time when you're getting into pay-per-call, you don't run static unless you have like one buyer that can take X amount of calls. Or static just means there's no ping post, and RTB means ping post. It's basically, hey, it's pinging my system to see if I have an available buyer and then posting the call to my system. posting it as in sending the call through. So you don't need a number if you're running RTB. If you are running static, where the offer is static, and they're okay with just getting calls routed directly to their cell phone, toggling on it, like they just click pause and play, like when they're ready, then you run static. But other than that, you don't really need it, okay? So the next thing is webhooks. So this is where you set up like certain things, like if you're selling calls to somebody, or you need the routing, you need to set this up. So you're right here, you don't really need to focus on the webhooks inside the campaign. What you're going to focus on is the postback keys. This is your RTB. So your postback keys in the RTB. So you go to here, real-time bidding, and then you set it up for the publisher. We're going to come back to this, but this is the link essentially that you send to the publisher. We're going to come back to this. I'm just kind of breaking down everything. Now, in the toggles, the only things that you really want to focus on is like if you're routing retriever to retriever, I've learned that conversion prop is always good. Basically, it says, because there's latency, like let's say you're operating on a 90-second buffer. Well, it takes time to connect. It takes 3, 4, 5 seconds to connect. So you want to propagate it to the other retriever hosted buyers. And then when it converts on their end, it'll convert on your end. So it looks the same. Okay, so if that's what you're doing, you need to make sure that you have conversion prop on. That's the only thing under toggles that you're going to want to do. But now that we have this set up, now let's say you have a publisher. And let's just hypothetically say you're using Market Call. Let's say you're using Market Call as a publisher. You're going to set up new publisher, and then you're going to go to company name, and you're going to type Market Call. Now, you don't want to put the publisher ID in here, just because, as it says, sensitive like your buyer collaborators can see your publisher, so you don't want to do that. Then you can put the first name of like your account representative and last name, and then create publisher here. And then here is where you can set things up. Okay, so like you can send them a postback key. So let's break this down step by step. Let's say you're running an auto campaign and Market Call is sending you calls, but they need your RTB specs. So we go into the publisher, and then what I'm going to do is I'm going to go down to RTB, and I'm going to click real-time bidding, which is RTB. The name, you can name it whatever. I type in the same thing, Market Call, auto insurance, 120-second buffer. Then you type in the campaign, which is the auto, you click that, and then the publisher, of course, is that. This is standard. Just follow along. This is what has worked the best for me. TTL seconds 45, timeout 5 seconds, and then you create the postback key. Then you take this link, you copy it, and you send it to Market Call or your account representative or whoever is selling you calls. Okay, you take it and you send it to them. Most of the time it's on Telegram. Okay, so they plug it in. Then the next step is you need to make sure that you have your conversion criteria set up, because when they ping your system, you need to have a response. If you don't have a response, you won't get calls. So what that looks like is you go into the publisher level, into Market Call, their account, then you click edit, and you click on add conversion criteria. And then the conversion name is auto insurance, 120-second buffer. And let's say they're selling you calls for $30 on a 120-second buffer. Okay, on a 120-second buffer. Then you set this up and you click wizard, then you click text, then you go into campaign ID, and the campaign ID needs to match to the campaign ID that is auto insurance. Now, I forgot it, so I have to restart. So I go back and go into the campaign ID. The campaign ID is 6DB. So now I have to go back to the publisher level, go back into Market Call, and tag it correctly. Here we go, conversion criteria, add auto insurance, 120-second buffer, wizard, campaign ID, value 6DB, add tag, done. And then remember, it was 120 seconds for $30, if I'm not mistaken. That's what I just said. That's you negotiating with them, right? So also another thing to note on the seconds, what I would always pitch, let's say you're selling to your buyer on 120 seconds. This is very important here. you need to add 8 seconds onto this. At 8 seconds, say, hey, market call, just for the delay, can we add 8 seconds? So it's going to convert on 128 seconds rather than 120 seconds on the, just to make sure we don't have any discrepancies in the billing. Reason is because when I explained earlier, you heard me say, hey, there's seconds off. Like, it has time to connect. There's the ringing time. So you don't want to pay for that. And you don't want to get stuck in a position where you have to pay for it. And you didn't get paid for it from your buyer. Okay, so always add on that latency. So do that, update publisher. Now they're set. You sent them the link, they're plugged in, and they're ready to go. Okay, now the next step is you got a buyer, right? The buyer is absolutely ready to go. And you need to go to call buyers, and you need to go in and click new call buyer. Now, couple of different things depending on what they're using. If they're using a SIP, or if they're using a static DID, or if they're using a retriever RTB, depends on what it is. But the hardest part, the phone number is the easiest part. Okay, you just plug in the phone number. You just type in 214-654-7, whatever that number is, right? And then you name them. Let's say it's Johnny Depp. You leave the buyer ID. Don't worry about that. Timeout 30 seconds. You leave this. You can set their business hours if you want. Leave priority for now. Priority, just to explain, buyers with the lowest priority will receive calls first. So whoever's bidding more basically can get more calls. They'll get the calls before anybody, or the person billing more will get the calls before anybody. So it goes negative. The more negative the number, the higher the priority. Okay. Now, tag list. Essentially, this is most likely just the geo, or if you want to filter out certain publishers for them. So the geo, either state and zip, you can upload a CSV file if you're running home services, or you can just add them right here. Upload a CSV file, because most of the time they're operating on 50 plus zips. If you're running insurance, they're running state-wise. You just tag all of them, right? You tag all of them, whatever states they're licensed in, and then they'll only get calls from there. Now, one thing to note, sometimes it's routed by DID, so the area code. That's where it's routed by. So if, let's say 214 is Dallas, but they got a call from a Florida. Let's say this. The person is licensed in Texas, but they get a call, but the person moved, right? The person moved to Florida, but the person's not licensed in Florida. Well, you'll most likely have to refund them that call and still eat the call, because it's routed by area code. And so they could potentially, it's one very rare case, very one-off. So like, just be wary of that. But that's, you set up the tag list by geo or the publisher or whatever. I hope I explained that right. And then you can set the conversion criteria for your buyer. Okay, so if they're in the campaign, so let's just say Johnny Depp is paying me in the campaign ID. I'm buying for 30 on a 120. Make sure the way I'm adding this is campaign ID. They're in this campaign. Add tag. Done. They're paying me on a 120, and they're paying me $65 for the calls. Right. So now everything's tracked in my call reporting. Okay. So this is all done, all that, and I can click create call buyer. Now I'm going to explain a couple of things now. Let's just hypothetically say they're on RTB as well, or you're selling to another publisher, or you're selling me calls. Well, I'm on RTB. So you still have to put a dummy number in here. In here, then you click create call buyer. After you create call buyer, you have to scroll down and go to webhooks. If they're on RTB, you have to do it on pass-through ping. Pass-through ping, and then you just name it whatever, Johnny. It doesn't matter. Then here you click on toggle webhook configurator. They have templates, whether I'm on another retriever, or I'm on Ringba, or I'm on Track Drive, they have it set there. But now you have to input this information. So the buyer ID up here, this is the system buyer ID. Right? RTB key. This is essentially, they have an RTB key on their stuff, and then they have a publisher ID. So you need to ask them for this. Okay, so you need to ask them for the retriever RTB and the retriever publisher ID. And after you do that, you'll click auto setup, and then you'll click create webhook. You'll click create webhook, and then it'll take this number off, and then it'll start routing through it'll start routing through the RTB. Okay, so that's how that's set up. Now the last step is you have to add this person into the campaign, or else they won't get calls. So campaign level, auto insurance, edit, call buyer, Johnny Depp, whichever one it was. I know I have dummy ones, but you just add them into whichever one it was, and then you update campaign. And keep in mind, they're live right now. So if you don't want them live right now, you just go into their account and you click pause buyer, and then until they're ready, you can click play. Also, they have access to this, so you can go into settings, users, collaborators, and then give them access to this. So there should be a button on here to add collaborators. So it'll say add a collaborator, and then you can add collaborator. Give me 1 second. All right, so I had to use my other account, but add collaborator, and then in here, excuse me, you just add the collaborator. So let's just say adding Johnny, and then I don't have to add his stuff, but then his email is johnnydepp@gmail.com. Of course, you ask them for this information. Then you give them access to the call buyer. So let's just say this is another account. So let's just say that's him. Give him access to that. Then I need to give him access to the campaign. This is dummy information, but add collaborator, and then you can give him permissions to see. Well, now he has permissions. So there in here, he now has access to his call buyers, and he can click pause and play as he goes. So let me show you that. All right, so when he gets access, he'll get a welcome email, and then the only thing he'll see is call buyers. So then he'll be able to click on his name and click pause and play whenever he's ready to receive calls. So I showed you how to create a campaign, set up a publisher, and set up a call buyer. And tag them correctly for your reporting. So everything is pretty much rinse and repeat after that. The last step essentially is you need to make sure that you get your account approved. So you do need to submit a ticket to support on here. There's a support tab somewhere. So submit a ticket, and then you need to get your account approved, and then you need to add money to your account. Or if you're direct inner circle with us, we get your account approved within 5 minutes because we have direct access to Retriever. So you have that option as well. But essentially, this is how to set up your Retriever and use it and tag everybody. If you have any questions about anything, feel free to ask in the comments, or ask away. If you guys want inside of our coaching program, we have a weekly webinar every Sunday, and it shows everything from top to bottom of how to scale and launch your pay-per-call business and pay-per-lead business, and intertwine the both and make over hundreds of thousands of dollars per month. So if you need it, the link will be below. But other than that, I hope you guys learned something. This is exactly how to use Retriever.